Ladies and gentlemen, this is Rensler, and welcome to Factorio tutorial episode 6, number 6 of our Factorial series. And today, we're going to be extending our production line. So now, currently, we have, and I'll just get into the game for you guys. You already know this part. We're going to go to load game. We're going to pick our Factorio tutorial level here that we've been working on. You'll see an hour and 32 minutes of playtime. And we're in the game. So what we're going to be doing today is extending this coal line, this transport belt here in the middle. We're going to be extending this iron belt over here, this ore over here in the left. And in the right over here, we're going to be bringing our copper over. So we have a production line of iron and copper. And I'll just get rid of, I forget what button that is. What is that, 4? There we go. And I'll show you guys what I just did later. I was just getting my FPS off the screen. I just like having a clean screen. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to extend the fuel line, because we can't smelt anything with all of these furnaces if they don't have a fuel source, and that is extremely important for us. So what we're going to do is get ourselves some more transport belts, and we're just going to run them out here just like that. We'll go to 10. There we go. So now what we want to do is have a source of stone so we can make a lot more of these furnaces. So we're going to hit E here. We're going to go to production, and we're going to see how many furnaces we can make. And right now it's 0. So I would say our next priority in this, if we wanted to make more, and someone just interrupted me. Anyway, don't mind that. I'll blur that out. Anyway, so we've got more of these furnaces that we need to get in here. So what I'll do is I'm going to put this guy on the other side so we can at least start producing copper. And we will get to fixing the problem that we have. So what I'm going to do is create 2 inserters, because I will need 2 of them. Push E to get rid of that guy here, and we're going to hit 3 so I can get back to my inserters here. And we're going to use an inserter there and spin that over. Oh, I have to go to open hands here, which is, or empty hands, and I have to rotate this. There we go. And I have to use the other one and feed it, because one is feeding coal into it, the other is going to feed copper into it. Okay. So now what we'll do is we will give this guy power so he can start feeding it, and now he can do something. Right now, he'll be able to do something. Okay, we're going to come over here to our copper. And I'm sure we have plenty of copper. Oh, yes, we have plenty of copper now. So I'm not worried about this. We're going to put electricity over here. It's going to be awesome. And we will get to that. So the next thing we need to do is get our transport belts over, get our production line going, and then I'll be concerned about stone. Then I'll be concerned about scaling up our furnaces here. So this one is going to be called, I think I'm going to call it Production to the Max. So that's going to be pretty cool. Okay, we're going to push E to get rid of this menu here. And we're going to, actually we'll go back into there, and we're going to look at our transport belts here. I don't know how many transport belts we're going to need, so I'm just going to right click this guy 6 or 7 times. So right click there, and again, and again, and again, and 5 and 6. Okay, since I have belts to start with, I'm going to push E. We're going to get started on making our belts, and push E to go back, and I need a drill. So I'm going to make myself an electric drill. Okay. So I have an idea of where I want to face my drill, and it's going to be down, so I'm going to just run the transport belts. So you can hold left click. That's what I'm doing, is I'm holding left click, and I'm just running, and I'm dragging these belts. Excuse me, and that's awesome. So we're going to go like this, just like that. Perfect. So now we have our transport belts the way we want them. And now, if I go hit 4 to go back to empty hands, and I press 3 to get my awesome dude here, I will be able to, let's see, this one has more. Bam. Okay, so now we have an electric drill. Of course, there is no power for it. There's no power. It's not hooked up to a power grid. Let's look at our power grid real quick. And I think I showed you this. So I might have to go back to my older videos to see if I showed you this. I really believe I did. But what we're going to do is we're going to click on a power pole. And it's going to tell me the consumption and the production. Right now the production is basically nothing. The consumption is so low, it's insane. So this is going to go up because not only are we going to be building more poles and extending things out, but we're going to have a drill that's going to be working quite often. Okay, so we're going to go to logistics, and that's going to be for power poles. And it says that I do not have any wood to make the poles. That makes sense. Okay, so let's go find some trees. I do not see any trees on this particular screen, so we're going to have to move up here. This is the forest area, I would say, this darker area. You can see where I'm moving the mouse here. The desert over there to the left has pretty much nothing there. See, here's a tree here. A dead gray trunk. So it's going to be important for us to try to find a decent source of wood. The best thing we can find, honestly, is a forest. I can't guarantee that we will or will not, because if you look at the mini-map in the top right, I have not explored this ahead of time. I did not get ahead of you guys at all. So, while we have found... Okay, we've got a bunch of dead trees in the desert. That'll work. This'll work. Okay, so we're going to take this tree and this guy. I need probably an entire stack of wood, I would say. Probably 50 wood total in order to be able to make enough poles for the grid that we're going to be using in the next few episodes. And you may think that's kind of overkill. You'll notice pretty fast that I don't think so. I'm confident that we're going to end up using this. So we're just going to run around here in the desert a little bit, and we're going to be pressing and holding right click. I can just walk around with right click held down, which is exactly what I'm doing, and I'm just able to quickly highlight the active box for those given wood chunks here on the ground, and I'm able to chop them and pick them up here. So we'll just get those figured out here. Alrighty, and let's see, what are we at in terms of wood? I have 42. Excellent. Okay, and 46, 48, and we'll leave it at 50. I ended up getting 4 from that, so I'm at 52. That works for me. Okay, so now we can head straight south, and we will end up right back at our production line here, which is pretty cool. So we'll just run through the desert here a little bit and end up right back where we started with all of this nonsense. Okay, and we're going to right click. I'm just going to make some poles here and see how many poles I get. I believe every time you make a pole, it actually gives you 2 in your inventory. And yes, I'm right. Okay, you'll see that I made 5. I right clicked once, yet my small electric pole count does say 10, which means every time I make 1 in the inventory in the crafting screen, I actually get 2. Okay, so we're going to press 3 to get ourselves a power pole here. We'll get close enough to where the wire touches, and we're just going to try to do the shortest route to get over to this guy. And pressing buttons doesn't work during a save, so there you go. And because this is catching that edge there, that's okay. I'm okay with catching that edge, so we're going to make this guy start working. So now this guy is going to start spitting out copper ore onto my transport belt. Oh, you'll notice something. You'll notice that I did this incorrectly. Alright, what we're gonna do... I'm just gonna turn that belt around so it doesn't... so it stops feeding things. I ran this belt incorrectly, guys. And I want to show you why. Do you see how this other belt is going up? That's what I want. I want the final belt area here to go up. So we're gonna... oops. If I get better at placing belts, man. Okay. And empty hands. I'm gonna rotate this guy. Alright. This shows you how crazy belts can get when you're trying to design them. Okay, click and drag, and I'm going to rotate here. Oops. Okay, I'm going to empty hands, and like I said last episode, you can press R on a transport belt to rotate it, and you don't have to pick it up first. That's actually really important. You don't have to pick them up first. There we go. This is what I want. Actually, in fact, I'm using too many belts. I can go like empty hands and go like that. There we go. Okay. And did you see what I did here? What I did is I rotated the belt, and it's pushing everything backwards. So it stops the flow, and that way you can mess with whatever you want, and it will still have the source pushing stuff, but you won't end up with everything on these belts here. Awesome. So now, on a very basic scale, very basic level, we have iron and copper, and that's awesome. But you will notice right away that there's no place to put the copper plates, right? I'm not taking anything out of these furnaces. And yes, I know. Right now, you have to control-click the inventory, pull the inventory out of them, and they will get started again. We are going to end up redesigning this. This is just a basic way for me to show you how the scaling works and how you can overcompensate for the production line by the consuming line, and that's what I want to do. So I'm going to show you guys a completely brand new screen here, something we haven't even mentioned yet, that I know about that I want to show you, okay? So we're going to push P for Paul or Peter or pencil or anything. We use it for production. So hit P and all kinds of craziness starts happening. So what I'm going to do is extend this out to a minute and let it move a little bit slower. So here's what's going on, guys. We are producing ore at a given rate, and then we are consuming the ore at a given rate to produce plates at a given rate. So what you can see here is that my production line, I'm producing copper plates, I'm getting between 16.7 and 17.5 per minute. Same thing with copper, and that's because I have one furnace on each one. Well, they are not fast enough to go ahead of the drills. And the drills are producing between 16.7 and 17.5 ore out of the ground per minute. You will see these numbers change once I take either one of these lines and I add more furnaces to where they're ahead of the drills. Generally, it's about 1.5 furnaces per drill. But I will see if I can get the min-max amount for that, because I don't know what that number is yet. I know what it is for power, and we'll get to that. I will show you guys how to min-max power. There will be a min-max tutorial. It is not this one, okay? So keep this in mind, and you can even see this guy. Keep this in mind over the last hour, over the last 10 hours, and over the last 50 hours, right? So play around with this screen. It's really, really cool. Now I'm going to show you how to max out. Now I'm going to show you how do I know that I'm maxing something out without having to go look at it all the time. And honestly, you use this production screen. So we're going to hit P, and I'm going to show you. Okay, what I need are 2 more inserters. Okay, so we're going to make 2 more inserters. I just left-clicked twice there. And we have a furnace. That's what we need. So we are going to go crazy on iron. Excuse me. Actually, you know what? Because that iron deposit's not going to scale at all, we're going to go crazy on the copper. That's what we're going to do, because I can scale that out later. Okay, so we've got a furnace with no fuel. I'm going to fix that. We hit 5. We take an inserter. Grab this guy and go like that. And then we take a power pole. Or if I hit the right button for power poles, and give that guy a power pole. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put this here. It's okay to have spaces in between furnaces, and actually it's great because you need to be able to power both sides of your inserters. I do apologize, guys, for all the muting and the cuts. I'm just a little under the weather today, so I just don't want you guys to hear all that stuff. So I mute it and I cut it out in the edits and everything. That's why sometimes when I'll say we're 17 minutes in, the video, like last episode, was only like 16 minutes in, or the episode before that, I think it was episode 4 that I had to cut kind of heavily. It's because I have a chronic condition, and it's just not fun. Anyway, enough about me. Back to the game. Alright. So now, watch this. Ready? Bam! Okay. So now what we have are 2 furnaces processing copper ore, and they will now be ahead of this drill over here. This drill cannot produce in real time enough copper ore to keep both of those furnaces fed 100% of the time. And I can show you that by hitting P. If we hit P, you will notice that my consumption and production of copper has gone up. It has jumped. And that's because I have two furnaces running full time, capable of getting this stuff done, being able to smelt all this stuff. So there's going to be a point in possibly about 2 minutes from now when they will have caught up, and this drill will be feeding in real time fuel to these furnaces in terms of copper ore, things to smelt, stuff to do, and I will max out my consumption. That's when I add another drill, and I overpower the burners, and then I add more burners to overpower the drills, and you keep going back and forth. The idea is that you always end up with a maximum producing production line based on the resources you currently have. So we're going to go back a minute, and we will see that our copper production has drastically outpaced and is drastically outpacing our iron plate production. And yes, part of that is because our iron deposit over there on the left side of the screen, and I'll use P to get rid of that screen and come over here, it's exceptionally small compared to the copper. Look at that, it doesn't even compare. It's what, a fifth the size, a sixth the size maybe? And yes, if we zoom out, we can see we have more copper, we have more stone, and if we go north, there'll be a huge iron deposit up here somewhere. I think we saw it up there. So it's not saying that that's the only iron we have and we're done. Like, the map's not giving us enough to complete the game. That's not. This map is infinite in size. If I use a macro and I keep running in a direction, as long as my computer doesn't crash, the guy will keep running and it will keep generating more map. That's just how it goes. Now, you may never find your original base again, but you can't do this. Oh, wow, we're at 18 minutes, okay. So, we didn't get a whole lot done during this episode, so I do apologize, but hopefully I did explain this enough, especially in terms of production. But take a look at what we have done. We have expanded production, and we hit P for production, and now we're not producing copper anymore because the furnace's inventory is full. Now what you have here is a better consuming, better producing production line of copper. Now we can improve this so much more, and we're going to in the next episode, because I'm actually going to record that episode right after this. And it's time to get into research, because this isn't even my final form. This isn't even the final list of anything. We've got inserters that just go crazy with stuff. We have long-handed inserters, which is really what I want. We're going to go nuts with research. So the next episode, which I've already figured out the name for, it's just going to be Research All the Things. So stay tuned for that. Let's see, this would be the Tuesday episode, so come back on Thursday for Research All the Things. I've been Rensler. You guys have been amazing. Keep your stick on the ice. Peace and chicken grease. And I will see you in 48 hours.
And I want to say this to the television audience. I made my mistakes. But in all of my years of public life, I have never profited from public service. I've earned every cent.